What's up, YouTube? I'm Hyperion, and we are in my creative world for once. If you follow me at all or have seen any of my previous videos on my last channel, you know I don't particularly like to do anything in creative just because I like the challenge of building and survival. But I do have a creative world, a creative flat world for testing redstone contraptions that I intend to build and just to see if proof and concept they actually work. And our main focus today is this guy right here, this gargantuan structure right here, a giant dice block in the middle of my creative flat world. You might be asking why I have a giant dice block in my creative world. Well, I was watching YouTube, and I was watching a popular, well-known YouTube channel that likes to play Minecraft a lot, and they were playing a game of Monopoly. If you can't figure out who that is yet, I can't help you either. But yeah, they were playing a big game in Monopoly, and the hardest part I noticed they struggled with was dice. How do you simulate a dice roll? Now, there is a good randomizer in the game of Minecraft, and that is a dropper. You put 9 items in a dropper, it'll drop one of them randomly. And that's how they were using dice. They decided that these 6 items equal a separate number, and when the dropper shoots out those items, that's their number. Now, this was a good idea, but where they fell apart was it was constantly having to be checked as like, what does this item mean? Oh, it's 5. And they even got into some problems where they miscounted or counted wrong. So I thought, you know what, there's got to be a way to simplify this process and make it easier to read, so I set out to do so. So I built this giant thing. It's bigger than it needs to be, and you'll see why, because I kind of went a little crazy with the redstone, but this is just a prototype, so plus I like it. I like the giant dice block in my creative world. It's kind of cool looking. So, but anyways, you don't want to see how it looks. Let's see how it works. So as you see here, we got the giant dice block looming over us, and right here we have 2 sets of lights and lists of numbers, and you can see I just simulated the sides of a dice block. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have 2 of them here. Though you can do this, with 1 set of lights, but I'll get into why that. I ran into some difficulties with that, but I actually preferred the 2 sets, and I'll explain why in a second. But you know, rather than get too much into the nitty-gritty of the design here, it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's just go ahead and see how it works. You go over here and you press this button, and we rolled a 2 and a 1. So as you can see here, it randomly picked 2 numbers. You just add them together, so that's 3, and there you go. There's your 2 dice rolls. But if we click it again, the lights go off, and boom, 2 and 1, 3 again. All right, what a coincidence. Now I swear this is random. There we go. 5 and 2, so 7. So that's how that works. Pretty simple, but the nice thing is you can walk away, go do other stuff, and be like, what was my number again? Oh yeah, right. Because the items won't reset until you hit the button again. Now, I don't have a means to reset it to blank, so you'll just be stuck here like this. From the outside, but you can from the inside reset it back to 0. And you can do this pretty much forever. All right, snake eyes, nice. You can do this forever. The system is designed to reset itself regardless, so it'll go infinitely, with the exception of the zeroing out. Everything else on this thing should continue to function pretty much forever. You can just keep hitting the button, and items won't run out. So now that you've seen how it works, let's get into the redstone of this, and I do apologize ahead of time for this mess. But anyways, here you can see the redstone involved with this, and yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Before you go and say, I could do this with 20 less redstone, let me tell you right off the bat, I could do this with 40 less redstone, trust me. This was just a prototype proof and concept test that kind of, well, grew into a monster. So this right here is the heart of the beast. This is the item sorter engine, as I like to call it. Now, whenever I love to use item sorters. It's a great thing to use for all sorts of things besides just sorting items. I like to refer to it as an engine because you can use it to power a lot of different things and control a lot of different devices. I've got one for a secret entrance and ones for, well, stuff like this. But this is the key to it all, is an item sorter right here. And if you don't know how to build an item sorter, there's tons of tutorials online. I'll just go ahead and show you real quick. Like pretty much right here what you see, this block all the way to this block right here, and this, you can ignore this part. But this all is an item sorter, and this is pretty much all you need to do, besides the fact that you need to put 22, technically 23 items in inside this middle hopper here. But we'll get into that in a second. But the item sorter is what really powers this whole thing. Now, the downside is an item sorter is not the smallest thing in the world. They are pretty bulky, and you could even do a 20-sided die if you really wanted to. Here we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's duplicated over here with another 6 for the other die. But yeah, you could totally do a 20-sided die or any kind of sided die. You just keep running this down longer all the way down, and you just got to make sure you can still reach the lights with wires. But how this works is we have a dropper right here, and the dropper is full of 6 items, and those 6 items are sorted right here. So as you can see, each item has its place, and this decides your what dice you rolled, which of these 6. And it doesn't matter what items you put where. It doesn't even matter what items you use. I just used food items because there's something I don't use for pretty much anything else in creative mode, so I figured food items was the best. And so I've got my 22 in here, I've got my 1 additional in here, so that means all the chests are empty. And so that right there is pretty much what powers the whole thing, is the sorter. Now we'll get into all this other stuff in a second, but yeah, let's show you exactly how that actually works. So this is how the system works. Now we've got a button on the inside, but this is also connected to the button on the outside. The button on the inside is just so I can show you. But when you push the button on the outside, it works the same as if you push this button, which will, let me get down there, power redstone. You can see it powered all the way over to here. And what that did is it hit the dropper and activated the dropper. And when the dropper shot, like I said, it shot one of the 6 items. I don't know where we got these 2 extra apples from, but it shot one of the 6 items out at random. We don't know which item it was. It doesn't matter. We won't ever know because it's, like I said, it's completely random. So being that it shot out a random item, the item traveled down this hopper train here and ran with the sorter. And since the item appears to have been watermelon, it waited until it found the chest, or the hopper with watermelon in it, and therefore was sorted into that chest. It won't go into the last one. It won't go into any of the earlier ones. It'll only go into that one. So once it's in there, this comparator here will detect that there is an item in the chest, and it will power that line of redstone. Now this is all complicated and a mess right here, and you don't even need to build it that far complicated. You could even just put your lights along this line right here. Now you'll want to separate your redstone so they don't crisscross, but you could definitely run it along this line. Actually, you could run it along this line as long as you just put comparators, or repeaters, I'm sorry, along this instead. Yeah, that's one way to do it, but I feel like this way gives me more options to lay out the lights any way I see fit. I could add more lights, change lights. If you wanted to do the 20-sided die, you could make a whole thing out of it. So yeah, this gives you a lot of options, and it gives you a lot of room to play with. This part really isn't that important, but we'll get into it in a minute. But yeah, that'll let you kind of have a lot of options of how you want to lay your lights out. The key here is that one of these 6 chests will be randomly powering a random line of redstone. So that's how that works. Yeah, it's a very simple concept in there. This pops out a random item. It picks for its coinciding random chest, and that lights up a random light. And can't be much simpler than that. Now you might be asking, or probably not. How does it reset? Well, as you can see here, we have also a line of hoppers running along underneath the chests, and those are turned off by these redstone torches. So therefore, nothing is leaving the chest. It's staying right there where it wants to be until the button is pressed again. And when the button is pressed again, and we'll see if we can see this. There's just no easy way to do it. You can see these two repeaters down here run along the same power line as the power source itself. So what happens is when the switch is turned on, those are powered. Let me see if I can catch it. So you can see right there, those are powered, which are turning off all the redstone torches, which means it now opens up all these hoppers. And the hoppers will send the item very quickly down its train and down this line here. We had to juke around this redstone torch because it was actually stopping everything. But you could actually run this train anywhere. You could run it way out here. You could run it deep underground. It's up to you. Just know that with hoppers you can't go up, but you can go down and all around and everything like that. You just want to watch out with hopper trains that you don't run into any redstone, or it will close off the hopper and your item won't move. But otherwise, once the item leaves the chest, it goes down this train here and goes over here, and this is an item elevator. And if you've never seen an item elevator, this is a very simple setup. You take a dropper. I think I always get droppers and dispensers mixed up. Dropper, the not circle, the one that doesn't shoot arrows. You want a dropper. I think a dispenser would work too, but still, droppers are simpler to build anyways. You just use a comparator and a line of redstone and two repeaters like this. So just copy this, and you just want to do it every other one. But you want to make sure the main dropper that receives the item is powered this way. And the way that this works is detects an item in the dropper and activates a repeating loop, shooting the item all the way up to the top and into this hopper, which will then drop it right back into the dispenser or dropper or whatever I used. They're so similar. Anyways, and that will then prepare it for the next roll. So that's how it resets itself and then gets ready to go again and can just keep playing infinitely. This is very convenient, but this is where I ran into a problem with the double-sided die, and I'll show you that right here. There is also a way to make this double dice in one light-up system, and that's using two droppers. Pretty simple, same principle, put the same 6 items in both. So this is how this works anyways. So let's go ahead and hit this button real quick, and you can see this one. Now there you go. So now you have a double roll right there, and you get 2 numbers. So that's 5 plus 4, and that equals 9. And this is one way that you can condense this whole thing down. Instead of the double dice being 2 different walls, you can condense it down into just one system. However, there's 2 flaws with this. Number 1, it doesn't really account well for a double roll. What will end up happening, pretty sure I turned weather and day cycle off, but there we go. We got 5 plus 1 equals 6, but if you get a double roll, what's going to happen here, since both items will land in the same hopper, you're just going to get 1 light come on. So there we go. We got a double roll of 3, which is fine. It'll still work and everything. But the one flaw with this system is that it doesn't reset. Let me turn the rain off real quick. There we go. It doesn't reset as well. Now this would take a little bit of redstoning to really get it right, but the reason it doesn't reset very well is because hoppers don't work like this. I just kind of threw it together real quick, but they don't work like this. They will feed all the way and everything will just dump into the first dropper, and then this one will slowly run out of items. So with 64 items in each, that's not really that big of a deal. You'll have plenty of rolls before you need to reset it, but you will have to manually reset it in this current configuration. So to keep it simple, I decided that 2 walls was better. Now keeping it simple meant building this giant thing twice, so maybe it wasn't that simple, but it's up to you what you want to do. you could kind of design it in all sorts of different ways as long as this principle still stands. In fact, I was looking at it and realized that I could remove 2 hoppers right here and just put this thing right there so it's connected to this hopper and get pretty much the same effect. But being that I was trying not to get redstone to crisscross each other, I built everything kind of really separated away, and with some little work and all that, I bet I could condense this down a whole bunch. But, you know, I don't mind the giant dice. It just depends on what kind of build I'm looking to do, you know, which kind of world I'm in, what are my resources, etc., etc. But hey, if you're making a creative world, this is a pretty easy way to do it. So after the item goes into the chest and lights it up, there's not too much to say about that. The lights are on the back side of these blocks right here, and as you can see, I have various repeaters connecting to them from different angles, and this helps keep the redstone separate. But other than that, there's nothing too much to say about that, because like I said, you can totally wire it as you see fit. Don't get too like discouraged by seeing this mess here and thinking you have to repeat this. You don't. You just have to find your own way to get from power from point A to point B, but make sure you use a repeater at least right in front of or 1 block away from the comparators, because with 1 item in the chest, the comparator will only reach 1 block ahead of it. So that's how you make a randomized dice block in Minecraft, or one way to do it at least. But I kind of like it. I like this design of it. And it's pretty foolproof. The only way that you can reset it to 0, though, unfortunately, and I'm sure I could find some way to do this, is to just take the item out and manually put it back in the hopper. Let's go over here and do this one as well. God, I really, really don't know how to play in creative. How do you fly again? There you go. 64 of all of them. Like I said, I'm going to take all these out. Just put 1 item in to show you it still works. As you can see, the dice block's still lit up, even though there was only 1 item in there. So just to show you, you don't need 64 items. You do need 23 for the sorter. You need at least 23 because you need the 22 in the sorting hopper, and there is going to be 1 more in the dump hopper underneath that always holds on to 1. So anyways, there you go. You got it's still randomized. And working just fine. So there you go. That's how you make a giant dice block in Minecraft. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'll try to help out as best as I can. Some of this stuff is kind of hard to explain. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Come up. The power of the... Oh, I should not try to do videos when I have a cold. Why? How is it raining? There's a roof. Oh, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and show you here. Ah. God, I really, really suck at creative mode. And I'm so good at survival, though. It's up to you what you want to do. I think I just sang a lyric to a Sublime song. How do you deactivate? Did I mention I hate creative mode? Okay.